They wanted power over you, not because you were weak, but because you were different. Because something about you made them uncomfortable. Something about you reminded them of what they lacked. So they laughed, they mocked, they underestimated. They whispered behind your back and smiled to your face. They tried to make you doubt yourself, tried to make you smaller, quieter, easier to control. And for a moment, maybe longer than a moment, you let them. You questioned yourself. You wondered if they were right. You wondered if staying silent was safer, if shrinking was smarter, if obeying was easier than resisting. But here's the truth they never understood. Power over you was never real. It was borrowed, temporary, an illusion created by your patience, not their strength. They thought control meant dominance. They thought power meant fear. They believed if they could push you into a corner, you would stay there forever. They didn't realize corners create pressure, and pressure creates explosions. You were watching, learning, absorbing everything. Every insult taught you how they think. Every betrayal taught you how they move. Every attempt to break you showed you exactly where they are fragile. You weren't losing, you were evolving. See, people who crave power over others are terrified of one thing: losing relevance, losing control, losing the audience that feeds their ego. They need reactions. They need validation. They need you to believe they matter. And the moment you stopped reacting the way they wanted, the moment you stopped begging for approval, something shifted. They felt it before they saw it. You started moving differently, talking less, observing more, smiling at moments that confused them, walking away from arguments they expected you to fight, refusing to explain yourself to people who never listened anyway. That silence, that wasn't weakness, that was strategy. They wanted you emotional. You became calm. They wanted you dependent. You became self-sufficient. They wanted you broken. You became unpredictable. And unpredictability terrifies manipulators, because now they don't know what you're thinking. They don't know your next move. They don't know how to press your buttons because you removed them. You stopped giving them access to your inner world, and without access, their power collapsed. They tried to pull you back, subtle at first, a fake apology, a casual message, a reminder of old times. When that didn't work, they escalated. Gossip, blame, playing the victim, painting you as the villain, because villains are easier to explain than growth. But here's the irony. The more they talked about you, the more obvious it became that they were stuck, still obsessed, still angry, still needing control, while you were free, living, building, becoming someone they can no longer reach. Power changes hands quietly, not with announcements, not with revenge speeches. It changes the moment you stop needing permission to be yourself. They wanted power over you, but now they're helpless because you no longer need their approval, their fear, or their validation. Their words bounce off you because you finally see them for what they are, reflections of their own insecurities. And that realization, that's dangerous, not to you, to them. Because once you understand that most people don't hate you, they hate what they can't control, you stop internalizing their behavior. You stop trying to prove your worth. You stop performing for an audience that never intended to clap. You don't need to destroy them. Life does that naturally when people refuse to grow. Stagnation is louder than failure. And while they repeat the same patterns, the same manipulations, the same excuses, you're writing a new chapter they're not invited to read. See, power isn't loud. Control isn't aggressive. True strength doesn't need to dominate. It doesn't need to intimidate. It doesn't need to prove anything. True power is waking up unbothered by opinions that once controlled your mood. True power is choosing peace when chaos used to excite you. True power is knowing you could react, but choosing not to, because silence is more unsettling than anger. They wanted to own you emotionally. Now they can't even access you mentally. And that's when desperation shows.
They replay old stories. They remind others of who you used to be. They cling to outdated versions of you because accepting your growth would mean admitting their own stagnation. But you're not who you were when they last had power over you. You're sharper now, not cruel, aware. You're calmer now, not passive, controlled. You're detached now, not empty, protected. And protection changes everything. Because when you protect your energy, your time, your focus, you stop bleeding for people who enjoy watching you suffer. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop fighting battles that were designed to drain you, not defeat you. They're helpless because their old tactics don't work anymore. The guilt trips fall flat, the intimidation feels childish, the manipulation is obvious, and nothing scares a manipulator more than being seen clearly. You see their patterns before they finish the sentence. You recognize the trap before you step into it. You feel the shift in energy before they reveal their intention. That's growth, and growth is silent revenge. You didn't become heartless, you became selective. You didn't lose empathy, you learned boundaries. You didn't change for the worse, you changed for your survival. They wanted power over you because they sensed your potential long before you did. People don't try to control what's insignificant. They try to control what threatens their position. Remember that. Your light made them nervous. Your resilience made them angry. Your independence made them desperate. So they tried to cage you with doubt, fear, and dependency. But cages don't work on minds that wake up. Now they watch from the sidelines, powerless, confused, wondering when exactly they lost control. They replay conversations, searching for the moment things shifted. They can't pinpoint it because it wasn't one moment, it was a series of quiet decisions you made to choose yourself. The decision to stop arguing, the decision to stop oversharing, the decision to stop chasing closure, the decision to stop explaining your worth. And the biggest decision of all, accepting that not everyone deserves access to you. That's when the balance flipped. They no longer control the narrative because you stopped participating in it. They no longer control your emotions because you stopped handing them the keys. They no longer control your direction because you stopped seeking their approval. Now they're stuck with themselves, with their bitterness, with their need for control, with the emptiness that comes from building identity around dominance instead of purpose. Meanwhile, you're building something they can't touch: confidence rooted in self-awareness, peace grounded in boundaries, power born from self-respect. And the most unsettling part for them? You're not angry anymore. Anger would mean they still matter. Hatred would mean they still occupy space in your mind. Revenge would mean they still influence your actions. But indifference? Indifference is freedom. You wish them nothing, and that nothing is exactly what they deserve. They wanted power over you. Now they're helpless, watching you move forward without them, untouched by their noise, unreachable by their games, and unstoppable because your strength no longer depends on external control. And if they ever cross your path again, they won't see the pain they caused. They'll see calm eyes, a steady smile, and a presence that quietly says, "You had your chance. You lost it."